Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to episode 2 of Get Better at Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And if you guys haven't checked out the previous episode, I'll link it down below in the description box because this is a series and there's a lot of stuff I want to cover and also give you guys credentials obviously if you guys are new to my channel. But anyways, today we are going to be going over all of the specialists. We're going to be breaking them down and telling you which specialist is good for you, or if you're playing a certain game type, which specialist is going to excel and be more effective on that specific map, or either that or kind of on the game type that you are playing, because that's the most thing that you're going to be factoring in when you choose a specialist is what is the game mode. That should be determining what you are going to be choosing your specialist on. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The gameplay that you guys are going to be seeing is on the new map, Spire, the new DLC map, and it's me going off. I get multiple wraps in this gameplay, so it's going to be more of a fun gameplay for you guys. It's not like a competitive one. I wish they would add Spire to the competitive playlist, but nonetheless, yeah, just enjoy the pub stomping that will be going on in the background. But anyways, let's get started with our first specialist. So the first guy that we're going to be covering is Ruin. So gravity spikes. What are these good for? Well, they're good for clearing out a large area. So specifically, smaller maps are going to be better for gravity spikes just because people will generally be closer together. So gravity spikes are great for domination, hardpoint, and safeguard. Anything where there's going to be a lot of players clustered into one specific area, just because some objectives require you to stand in certain areas or escorting a robot. Anything along the lines of that, that is what gravity spikes will be good on. As far as Ruin's other specialist ability, Overdrive, this is excellent for certain objectives that require you to take something from point A to point B. So, for example, capture the flag. You grab the flag, you run back to base. Pretty self-explanatory. Uplink, you grab the ball, you run it towards the opponent's, little circle thing. Next up on Demolition, you can also use it. Demolition, Search and Destroy. A lot of these that are good in Demolition will also be good in Search and Destroy because the concept is essentially the same. With Demolition, obviously, it's not really used in use it in competitive, but for the most part, they're very similar, and that's what I'm just trying to get at. But it's great for Demolition and Search and Destroy, obviously, to plant the bomb. Not the greatest for letting your opponent plant the bomb than rushing towards it. It's greater for you to actually rush certain areas also in Search and Destroy. You don't always have to grab bomb, plant bomb really fast if you're running Overdrive. You can definitely make good use of just using it to actually get from point A to point B and then watch a certain area. So it's good for like looking at certain points of interest or power positions, or getting to a position that's not a power position but you know your opponent is going to be going towards it. So that'll be good for that. Next up we have Outrider. So this Sparrow, I think it's overall just bad. It's not that effective, even though it's got multiple buffs, because people don't use it. So they're like, oh, people aren't using this, let's go ahead and buff it. It's not really that great at all. The reason why it's not great is it's outclassed by Annihilator and War Machine. Even though, like I said, it's got multiple buffs to try to make people play, it's overall bad. If you want something that does like AoE splash damage, War Machine. If you want something that's going to kill relatively fast in one hit, the Annihilator will just outclass it. So I do not recommend Sparrow for any reason, unless you're watching this video later down the line and they buff it to extreme amounts to where it becomes super viable. But for the most part, I wouldn't recommend Sparrow for the specialist ability at all. It's just overall bad. Vision Pulse, it could be decent for Search and Destroy, as well as Free For All, as well as Kill Confirm. On Kill Confirm, sometimes you'll notice people sit in the back, and what they'll do is, once they know that you're going to go ahead and grab that tag, they'll camp at that point, and then they're just going to sit there and be like, oh, okay, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and wait for you to, get that confirm, and I'm going to try to kill you. So it can kind of prevent some campers, but overall, I think it's not that used, unless, of course, you're playing different competitive scenes, UMGs, MLGs. There's other things that, just ban certain specialists, so at that point, depending on where you're playing, obviously you have to factor that in. But for the most part, as far as pubs go, I think it's great for Search and Destroy as well as Free For All. And again, Kill Confirm can be okay, again, just to stop some of the campers from camping some of the confirms. Next up we have Prophet. So Glitch can be technically used in most modes, but I think that it excels specifically on Search and Destroy as well as Capture the Flag. You do have to know where your opponents will be spawning. You have to kind of know spawns for it to be effective and capture the flag, but it can block spawn. So if you take the flag or take certain objectives, you can block spawns by going right back into it and making it so they have to spawn at a different location. So it requires a little bit more game knowledge. But overall, I feel like it's outclassed by Overdrive. Overdrive does get banned quite often, so this is kind of like, I guess you can look at it as like an alternative to it if you really like getting from point A to point B fast, or doing certain objectives that you can really utilize the ability to go back on. It can be really dirty in Search and Destroy, but very seldom can be very good, because you're going to have to go back, and sometimes if you're playing against good players, they're going to know exactly what to do against you. Next up, Tempest. Anything where there's a cluster of people can be really good, because anything like that you're going to have to sit on, whether it's the safeguard or anything like domination, where there's going to be, again, a cluster of people. Anywhere where gravity spikes will be good will also be good with the Tempest, essentially. And in addition to that, the War Machine can also be very good for that as well. But overall, yeah, domination, hardpoint, and safeguard are where Tempest is going to excel. Next up, battery, one of the most used specialists right now in the game. It has actually kind of gotten a small nerf. It's basically its build time. But anyways, so War Machine is good for anything, again, that's going to be a cluster of people. So domination, hardpoint, safeguard. But just be aware that if Flak Jacket can screw you over, so if you use it and someone's got Flak Jacket, depending on where it's hitting them and also what their HP is at, sometimes you'll just get a hit marker or something. That really does suck, but just keep that in mind. Do not use the iron sight for that thing. Just go ahead and actually use the just no scope them with it, basically, is what I'm saying. But as far as her other ability, Kinetic Armor, it's great on everything. Kinetic Armor, you'll see majority of the time when I play this game, if it's available and not banned, or someone on my team takes it when we're playing in the ranked arena section, I will usually go for Kinetic, because I think it's overall the best. It is great on literally everything, because it can save you, it can help you get multi-kills. It's just great for approaching in situations where you shouldn't be able to win the gunfight, and you do anyways, because you can basically overextend, and you can do so many different things with Kinetic Armor. It's pretty much, in my opinion, the best specialist ability in the game, and you'll see me running it quite often. Next up, as far as Seraph goes, Annihilator, it could be used in everything, but you have to have the skill. Now, one downside to using it on Search and Destroy, though, is you might have to deal with snipers, and also the build time on it is relatively slow, just because most of the weapons, with the exception of Ripper, you're not going to be really able to use those on Search and Destroy, just because the way that the games are oriented, you're not going to be able to build your specialist ability as fast. So I would say that it is good in everything, including Search and Destroy, but again, it's just going to be harder to build in Search and Destroy, because sometimes you'll go games without even being able to use it, especially for playing in pubs with the short amount of rounds that it has. So yeah, keep that in mind. Next up, we have her next ability, which is combat focused. It could be used on everything, but I just really don't recommend you guys to use it. Overall, like I said, it can be used in everything, but I just don't recommend it at all. Next up, because if you're going off anyways and you're gonna like use it at certain times, I think it's just better just to have the specialist ability where you're guaranteed going to get something out of it. Where with combat focus, you're not guaranteed all the time getting something out of it. Next up, though, we got Nomad Hives, great for domination, demolition, kill confirmed, hardpoint, capture the flag, safeguard, anything that is going to have an objective that you kind of lock down areas with Hives. Very good for that. Next up, as far as Reject goes, great on hardpoint, capture the flag, search and destroy, and uplink, just because you're able to come back again. If you are using it on search and destroy, though, I recommend staying back, because sometimes if someone kills you, they're just going to rush up right behind you and just instantly just melee you as soon as you come back, or shoot you when you come back. So if you're using it on search and destroy, I recommend you just sit back. So challenge people on head glitches and stuff like that. It could be very effective. Next up, Reaper. Scythe, great on everything except for search, because the build time is just way too long. Psychosis can be used in everything, but I feel like it's a chance to, you know, fool your opponent, and I think it's much better just to go ahead and use something like Kinetic Armor if it's available. Just overall outclassed, essentially. Next up, Ripper can be used in everything, great for panic kills, but it's the best for uplinks, specifically since you know the ball. Great for that. As far as Camo, it's great on search and destroy, capture the flag, and uplink, because it makes it so your opponent can't see you. Obviously pretty effective for that. And lastly, we have the Firebreak Purifier, great for domination, hardpoint, safeguard, anything again where it's going to be specifically like a smaller map, or something that's going to be used where everything is clustered in, essentially. That's going to be great for that. And then Heat Wave, literally great for everything. So overall, those are the specialists kind of broken down for you guys so you guys can see which one you would use for which scenario. Hope that helps you guys out. If you guys feel like I missed out on anything, let me know. But again, guys, if you haven't checked out the first episode, I'll link it down below in the description box, so you guys go ahead and check that out. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed that and have some fun running the specialist for the right game mode.